Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jamila Peters, and I am currently attending Mercy College. This is for my summer semester 2016, and it's for psychology, behavioral science, computers for the social and behavioral sciences. My instructor is Dr. Rossi A. Hassad, and my topic today is ego conflict in the workplace. I currently work for a large organization that's actually doing conflicts in the workplace and trying to work on the rapport and the tone in the organization and basically attacking, those ego issues. Um, while reviewing the levels of training that is needed compared to the call volumes in the customer service department, an action plan has been implemented to help create the conversions to take place with less of a problem. But during these conversions, a problem within the organization arises because of conflicts. Um, the conflict has been presented, and it's not necessarily a negative thing. And I will visit that in one of the articles that I used in my paper. That conflict is not always a bad thing, because sometimes when you uncover a conflict or you hit it head on, you may actually uncover something that can help you and help the department or help your CEO or your manager or whoever it is you're reporting to. Um, According to Sigmund Freud, the ego is considered the origin in which perception of external and internal stimuli is found. In 1911, Sigmund Freud introduced the ego in his written work, Formulations of the Principles of Mental Functioning. The ego is an organized conscious, repression and the unconscious and defensive perceptions. The id represents the driver of the instincts, and the superego represents the morals, values, and judgment. This system was and is the formula to understanding the ego driver and its functioning. Conflicts that we face in our lives amongst friends, family, strangers, even coworkers are almost inevitable because every individual having their own perceptions causes conflict. Ego conflict may be found mostly in the workplace because there are different job responsibilities and the competition follows, as well as distinguishing leaders despite job titles. Um, I believe in the workplace that there should be there should be a variety of personalities, and on top of those personalities, there will also be egos. The ego can affect conflict if it's too big, if it's not big enough, or even if it's bruised. In many cases, the ego can be just as fragile as someone's heart. Um, Ego conflict in the workplace is seen when a senior executive places themselves on a high pedestal, like really, really high, um, and they become degrading or they can be a bully. Um, I have that here at home, slightly. Um, and a lot of the articles that I reviewed basically give different ways of handling it. Um, Despite the negativity that is reflected by conflict and an inevitability that it will always occur in almost every environment, there are many solutions. An article written by Joyce Mayer suggests constructive resolution is the practice and attempt to alleviate conflict. Amongst the several strategies, the article stresses the understanding that nobody is perfect and everyone is a work in progress. Um, when responding to conflict, responding from an emotional place rather than an angry place would demonstrate the issues on the surface and not from an unconscious place of bitterness. Don't react is number one. Don't react. Sometimes people react because of how they're feeling, and it requires a lot of strength and a lot of energy. And sometimes that energy is just so much that you could be pooped from doing it. Um, the key is patience, and you can respond to any situation at hand while leaving your ego behind. The ego is primarily an overall perception issue. gone bad. I mean, absolutely bad. An individual's judgment is clouded by their experiences, their insecurities, and is often misguided in situations that are then elevated into a conflict. Conflict in the office is inevitable, but not all conflicts are bad, like I mentioned before. Conflicts can influence change, it can promote growth. The problem is the ego is the higher employee and is larger than in life. Um, Overall, the ego is something that basically cannot, you can't run with it. The ego will eventually, excuse me, the ego will eventually overrule if it's not handled an appropriate way. Um, there were 3 questions that were asked, and the 3 questions that were asked for this assignment is, what are the major limitations of your work? Can you give us an example of how a particular group can benefit from your work? What knowledge and skills did you acquire from this exercise? Well, I'll start with number 3 because the thoughts are right here. As I stated, we have this work group at work, and we're working on conflict resolution. And I learned that the knowledge is key, and not reacting to everything will definitely make the outcome a lot better, because it could be something very simple. It can be something really simple and we freak out and we do the first thing that comes to mind. I learned patience. Sometimes someone may send you an email and you want to react immediately because your ego feels bruised, or something feels bruised. So I learned to keep my patience, not react all the time. Number 2, an example of how a particular group can benefit from your work. Well, going back to what actually is happening at work, any place in the workplace can benefit from, this article, because it will enlighten you to focus on what's more important. Is it what was said, how it was said, or how you feel that's more important? Or what is it that's actually hurting? Like Sigmund Freud stated, the ego is bruised, and it's because of insecurities and things that has happened in the past, and we tend to lead with that, and that's what causes the conflict. And the number 1 question is, what are the major limitations of your work? The major limitations of this work was, I don't think there was too many. I mean, I was able to find pretty much a lot of articles, and I threw some other articles in there because I wanted to basically grasp what I was trying to explain, because this is actually going to help me at work. And the major limitations, I would probably say, would be basically getting your audience to understand what you're saying and putting into words what you're really truly trying to say. Looking for these articles, a lot of people are either stating to avoid, other people are stating to hit it on head on. So I think it was just basically trying to get an article to fit what I perceive as the best way to handle conflict, and I think that was about it. I hope that my article and my video can enlighten you, and thanks for listening. Bye.